private investigator who was hired by the landlord of the property that David was apparently staying at in Los Angeles. If you recall, authorities searched that property. David moved his stuff out. The Tesla with Celeste's body was near that place too. Listen to what Fisher had to say as we try to understand the potential connection between David and Celeste.
We now have a much better understanding of when that Tesla arrived at that final parking spot. I'll tell you, I do have surveillance from different houses.
What if the artist behind one of the most hauntingly beautiful songs of this generation was hiding an even darker truth behind his lyrics? What if Here With Me, the song that made millions cry, was actually born from guilt, fear, and the weight of something unspeakable? Tonight we dive deep into the story that's shaken both the music world and the true crime community, the mysterious connection between D4vd and the tragic death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a rising influencer whose life ended far too soon. From shocking social media clues to alleged deleted footage and whispers of a secret cover-up, this is the story that leaves everyone asking, what really happened? And who is telling the truth?
In the neighborhood, showing Tesla being moved.
Do you know who was driving that car, that Tesla? You don't have to tell me, but do you know the identity?
Yeah, as far as going to the final, that what we believe is the final parking spot where it was towed from, yes.
Do you know if Celeste was ever at that property?
You know, what we recovered, we don't have any of her at that property. We have pictures of her and that were taken by David, we assume, because it's not on a camera phone, but these photos are on a regular camera, at different locations. And it really makes me think that it's likely she had another place she was staying. I can tell you that there was a lot of time spent towards downtown LA, but
Before the rumors, before the court of public opinion, there was just David Anthony Burke, the shy teenager from Houston who spent hours locked in his bedroom building songs on his phone with nothing but the BandLab app and a dream. That boy became D4vd, the artist whose voice carried heartbreak and loneliness through millions of speakers. Somewhere along the way, he met Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Bright, spiritual, magnetic, and together they built a quiet love that flickered between screens and city lights.
I will say this, there are some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence that was at that house that is, there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. And that's why we're trying to.
Their relationship wasn't a headline then. It was just two dreamers trying to find meaning in the noise. But as D4vd's star rose, so did the distance between them. Fame came fast, and Celeste found herself in the shadows of stadium lights she once cheered for. Friends said she missed him, that she worried the spotlight was changing him. She told one confidant she didn't recognize the person he was becoming, that fame had changed his energy.
Learn more about that because, and I wish I could say more, but for obvious reasons I can't. But it doesn't have to do with her, how she died, but maybe how they were planning on ultimately getting rid of her, and how maybe that Tesla was just a holding spot at the time, and things just, their timing was just off as far as getting this done. But there's a few things that were just like, will blow your mind.
Okay, so now let me bring in
Yet she still loved him. She still believed in the boy behind the music. Then came the night that would change everything. Late that summer, Celeste was found unresponsive in her apartment. Police said it might be suicide, but those closest to her refused to believe it. Online, the news spread faster than the truth could keep up. Threads appeared, TikToks went viral, and every lyric D4vd had ever written was suddenly treated like evidence. One line, whispered through a grainy video posted just days after her death, hit differently.
Dave Sarney, retired NYPD detective, adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Dave, thanks so much for coming back here. What do you make of this new footage?
Well, thank you for having me, Will. This is another, we always talk about cases having legs. This has a lot of legs, but they're not going anywhere. They're going in different directions. And when you see this video and you're hearing about this the first time and the way he actually reacts to this, is there something to what Celeste said on that video? So this is going to maybe now continue another investigation dealing with him, dealing with children. And it has been speculated, it's been this way for a while, that most of the fans that know David and all through the internet, that he met her at the age of 12 and somehow he groomed her. This is all speculation, of course, but we're seeing, is this a pattern of David's to deal with children, to deal with kids in general? We don't know if it's female kids, male kids, we don't really know. But that comes out, and the reaction of him, that's where you feel that there's a possibility that might be happening. So now we have to look at it that way.
Let me just confirm what you're saying. A, do you believe police are looking at this video, or have they looked at it and tried to analyze it? And B, are you suggesting, even though, let's be clear, there's speculation, he hasn't officially been charged or implicated in any crime, when we look at why hasn't there been a person of interest or suspect or arrest, that potentially there could be something bigger that law enforcement is looking into?
I think you have to look at every avenue in this investigation, because this is what happens. You're hoping the detectives and investigators are looking, this is another part of the puzzle. It may be part of this particular puzzle about why Celeste's body was in that car and who put her there, but it's something else to look at, because you have no criminal charges right now based on, all you may have is tampered physical evidence and disposal of human body. Now we're looking, they're waiting for toxicology to come back. Right now, this case is considered a cuppy. In New York, we'd call it a cuppy. Circumstances unknown, pending police investigation. The ME's office in California call it unspecified or undetermined. So we're looking at that. This is another avenue to look at. And I'm hoping that law enforcement is looking at this and looking at David on that other end. If this comes out, and this is what Celeste said on video and his reaction, and this is what comes down to, it wasn't everything. So this is something to look at parallel to the investigation of Celeste's death.
Here's the thing.
I ruined something perfect. I can't take it back. Was it a confession, or just the sound of a grieving artist drowning in pain? People began searching for patterns. Then someone claimed to have screen recordings of D4vd deleting messages and photos of Celeste only hours before the world learned of her death. The internet caught fire. Hashtags demanded justice. Some accused him of destroying evidence. Others said he was protecting his privacy. In private group chats, screenshots appeared showing him talking about lawyers, papers, getting rid of things. None of it verified, but the narrative was already written. When police confirmed an investigation was underway but refused details, fans noticed that D4vd's accounts suddenly changed. Posts vanished, photos of Celeste disappeared, silence settled like fog, thick enough to choke the truth. A cousin of Celeste's wrote online, "You can delete pictures, but you can't delete guilt." The post went viral, and every disappearance from his page began to look like proof of something darker. Then came whispers about money. Reports surfaced that D4vd had transferred certain assets, including songwriting credits to relatives after Celeste's passing. His team said it was a business precaution, but to the public it felt like panic. Online detectives built timelines, podcasts dissected the moves, and YouTube channels pulled apart every lyric, every live stream, every reaction. And the music only made things murkier. New songs dripped with regret. I watched the light fade from your eyes. I couldn't stop it. I didn't even try. Fans couldn't decide if it was guilt or grief. Was he confessing or coping? His art blurred the line between honesty and performance until no one could tell where one ended and the other began. As months passed, the backlash grew. Hashtags like cancel D4vd trended. Concerts were boycotted. Comment sections filled with candle emojis and accusations. One final post from Celeste's account resurfaced, a story showing a single candle in the words, "When you love someone too deeply, it can kill you." Hours later, she was gone. Experts tried to make sense of it all. Psychologists explained how fame can warp young relationships, how the power imbalance of success can twist love into obsession, jealousy, or fear. Maybe that was all it was, two people consumed by pressure they never learned to manage. But speculation had already become entertainment. When D4vd finally went live on Instagram, a fan asked, "Did you really delete messages about Celeste?" He froze, eyes flickering toward the comments, and ended the stream. That 5-second clip replayed millions of times. To some, it was guilt. To others, grief. But silence can sound louder than denial. A few weeks later, his publicist released a statement insisting he had nothing to do with Celeste's death and that police had cleared him of any involvement. Yet the internet doesn't believe in closure. Even after investigators confirmed there was no evidence of foul play, the story refused to die. Every post he made afterward was flooded with speculation. Every new song became another puzzle piece fans swore fit somewhere dark. Celeste's family launched a foundation in her memory, promoting mental health awareness for young creators. They never spoke publicly about D4vd again. He, meanwhile, retreated into his art. The music turned slower, heavier, more haunted. His videos dimmed, his lyrics felt confessional. Guilt had become his muse, whether he meant it to or not. Even now, theories circle like vultures. Some insist there's missing footage from the night she died. Others claim his label paid to quiet the investigation. A few say he's been confessing in plain sight, turning tragedy into melody. No one can prove any of it, but no one has stopped looking either. Maybe D4vd is innocent. Maybe the truth lies between heartbreak and self-preservation. What's undeniable is that two young lives collided under the weight of fame, love, and public scrutiny. And only one lived to tell the story. Behind every viral headline and every lyric that sounds like a confession is a real person, a real loss. Sometimes the saddest part isn't what we uncover, it's what we'll never know. If you made it this far, drop a candle emoji in the comments for Celeste. Do you think D4vd was hiding something, or was he just another soul haunted by grief? Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, the truth doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. As the days went by, the silence around the case started to feel deafening. Everyone was waiting for the next piece of evidence, the next statement, the next clue that could make sense of this nightmare. But nothing came. The police stayed quiet. D4vd's team stayed quiet. Even Celeste's family, who had been posting daily tributes and pleas for justice, suddenly stopped. That silence wasn't peace, it was fear. Then, weeks later, something shifted. A journalist named Mariah Grant, who had been following the case since the beginning, released a podcast episode titled The Tesla Files. In it, she claimed to have obtained leaked police documents suggesting that digital forensics had recovered fragments of data from D4vd's iCloud, fragments that referenced cleaning footage and final upload. Nobody knew exactly what those phrases meant, but the timing lined up too perfectly with when Celeste disappeared. The leak ignited the internet all over again. Reddit threads broke records. Twitter, or as it's now called, X, was flooded with people demanding answers. The hashtag Justice for Celeste began trending in multiple countries. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Was there really footage of what happened to her? According to Mariah's report, investigators had indeed found a file name labeled c_lastvid.mp4 that had been deleted from the cloud. But the actual content had been wiped clean, overwritten, unrecoverable. Still, even that single file name was enough to send chills down people's spines. C for Celeste? Or something else entirely? That's when another strange twist emerged. A tech YouTuber who analyzed the metadata of Tesla's onboard cameras suggested that there was a 6-hour gap in the recording history on the day the car was moved. Forensics confirmed that the cameras had been manually disabled. Not a system error, not a glitch, but turned off on purpose. Whoever drove that car knew exactly what they were doing. From that moment, suspicion turned into something darker. Fear that this wasn't just an accident, or even a panic moment gone wrong, but something planned. Some fans refused to believe it. They said it was all being twisted for clicks, that nobody really knew what was true. But as more and more details leaked, it got harder to defend him. Even one of D4vd's old collaborator, a producer who went by the name of Nova, came forward anonymously. In a voice recording obtained by the Daily Beast, he said, "There were nights he'd just sit there staring at his phone saying, 'She's gonna ruin me.' He said that more than once. I didn't know what it meant back then. Now, I think I do." Meanwhile, Celeste's mother finally broke her silence in a heartbreaking interview. Her eyes were swollen, her voice trembling. "I just want to know why my baby ended up there. Why didn't anyone help her? Why didn't he?" She didn't mention D4vd by name. She didn't have to. Everyone knew who she meant. That interview shattered people. The raw pain in her voice, the confusion, the anger, it was too real, too human. And it reminded everyone that beyond the rumors and theories, there was a family that had lost someone irreplaceable. Soon after, new images surfaced. Paparazzi caught D4vd outside a cafe in downtown Los Angeles. He looked thinner, pale, with dark circles under his eyes. He didn't say a word, but one detail stood out. He was still wearing the same black ring he'd worn in old videos with Celeste. Fans noticed instantly. That ring became a symbol. To some, it was guilt. To others, grief. The next week, something even stranger happened. D4vd uploaded a 20-second black screen to his Instagram story. No caption, no audio, just darkness. People went crazy trying to decode it. Was it a message? Was it guilt? Or was it his way of saying goodbye? Moments later, the story vanished, deleted completely. By now, the investigation had gone federal. Reports came out that the FBI had been brought in due to possible digital tampering and interstate movement of evidence. That's when everyone realized this wasn't some small, tragic misunderstanding. This was something huge, something that might expose more than anyone expected. An anonymous law enforcement source told the Rolling Stone that they were exploring potential links between the deleted digital files and secondary parties connected to the victim. That statement set off alarm bells. Secondary parties? Was someone else involved? Was this part of something bigger? That's when names started popping up. People in D4vd's circle, friends, managers, even alleged exes. A few deleted their social media overnight. Others started posting cryptic quotes about betrayal and loyalty. It was chaos, digital chaos. And while all of this unfolded, D4vd remained silent. Not a word, not a song, not a statement. But his silence was louder than anything he could have said. Then, in one final twist that nobody saw coming, someone leaked what they claimed was a voicemail from D4vd to a close friend, recorded weeks before the news broke. In the audio, a man's voice, eerily similar to his, said, "She's gone. I didn't mean it for it to happen that way." The authenticity couldn't be confirmed, but it spread like wildfire. Fans were split in half, some saying it was fake, others swearing it sounded just like him. The media went into overdrive. Talk shows, podcasts, tabloids, everyone had an opinion. But through all the noise, one truth began to emerge. No matter how much was uncovered, the full story still wasn't clear. Every answer led to another question. Every clue opened another door. And maybe that's the most haunting part of it all. Celeste's last moments, whatever they were, may never be fully understood. Whether it was an accident, a moment of rage, or something planned, only two people truly knew what happened, and one of them is gone. Even now, as her name trends again and old clips resurface, people can't stop watching. They analyze her smile, her words, her posts, searching for signs, anything that might have warned them. But the truth is, sometimes evil doesn't show its face. Sometimes it hides behind charm, behind fame, behind music that sounds like love but bleeds with guilt. And maybe that's why people can't let go. Because deep down, everyone's afraid of what it means, that the person behind the songs, behind the fame, might not be who we think they are. The final update from investigators came quietly, almost unnoticed. The case remains open and under active review. No arrests, no official suspects, just a haunting, empty silence. But the internet never forgets. And neither was Celeste's story. Because every time one of his songs plays, every time that name trends again, people will remember. The girl who vanished, the car that told no lies, the silence that said everything. And as this story continued to unravel, things started getting even darker. Just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, new footage surfaced, a chilling clip that seemed to show D4vd with Celeste in what appeared to be his Tesla. The video, grainy and haunting, quickly spread online. Viewers froze at one particular moment. Celeste's voice, soft yet trembling, saying something that made everyone's blood run cold. Moments later, D4vd's voice followed, laughing nervously, saying words that would soon echo across every corner of the internet. Delete everything, everything goes. That single sentence became a storm of accusations, outrage, and heartbreak. The clip was allegedly from a Twitch live stream, and while no one could confirm the exact date it was recorded, fans connected dots that pointed toward the days leading up to Celeste's disappearance. The internet began to buzz with theories that the footage could hold hidden meanings. Maybe it was just a joke, or maybe it was something much darker. What made it worse was the eerie comfort between them in that video. It didn't look forced. It looked like two people who had known each other deeply, too deeply. Law and Crime's Jesse Weber soon discussed the footage on his show, breaking down every second of the video and the possible implications it carried. He brought in retired NYPD detective Dave Sarney, who had worked on dozens of high-profile cases. Sarney said that cases like this had legs but weren't going anywhere, meaning there were too many directions, too many possible truths. But when he heard the words, "delete everything," even he admitted, that sounded like someone panicking. And then came the chilling details. A private investigator named Steve Fisher had been hired by the landlord of the Los Angeles property where D4vd had reportedly been staying. That same property had been searched by authorities. According to Fisher, they had surveillance footage showing the Tesla, the same one where Celeste's body was later found, being moved. When Jesse asked Fisher whether he knew who was driving, Fisher hesitated, then said, "Yes, we know who it was." But he didn't say the name. That one pause said more than words ever could. Even more disturbing was what Fisher described finding in the house. He hinted that there was physical evidence inside that suggested something sadistic, something that could have pointed to plans of disposing of a body. He couldn't say more, but he called it scary and sick. Those words set the internet on fire. What kind of evidence could be that disturbing? Why did it sound like they'd interrupted something halfway through? Detective Sarney later commented on the interview, saying that investigators likely already had a clear idea of what happened. They were just being quiet. According to him, law enforcement had a reason to keep everything close to the chest to avoid leaks that could compromise the investigation. That meant whatever they found was big enough to matter. But the silence only made people more curious. Reddit threads began to explode with theories. Some users claimed there were photos of D4vd and Celeste that had never been released publicly, pictures showing them together at undisclosed locations in Los Angeles. Others pointed to old lyrics where D4vd mentions Celeste's name, tattoos, and even scenes in his music videos that mirrored what would later happen in real life. One line from his unreleased track whispered, "She sleeps in my car, but she's cold when I wake." Fans didn't know whether to cry or to shiver. There were also reports that both D4vd and Celeste had matching tattoos on their fingers, small, simple symbols of connection. Tragically, it was that very tattoo that helped identify Celeste's decomposed remains when authorities found her. It was a love mark turned into evidence. At this point, everyone was asking, how deep did their relationship go? Some said they had been involved for years. Others claimed she was just a fan he met online. But in the Twitch clip, he said, "I media trained you." Those words implied time, familiarity, a mentorship, something that didn't happen overnight. It painted a timeline that didn't match the official story. Meanwhile, the toxicology reports were still pending, and without a clear cause of death, investigators couldn't even confirm if Celeste had been murdered. All they knew was that she was dead, that her body had been placed in D4vd's Tesla, and that someone, maybe him, maybe not, had driven it to its final location and walked away. In the weeks that followed, more fragments of the story began surfacing. Neighbors from the Los Angeles property reported seeing a young girl matching Celeste's description entering the house days before the news broke. They never saw her leave. Others claimed D4vd seemed nervous, quiet, avoiding eye contact. Someone even said they saw him loading bags into the Tesla late at night. No one thought much of it at the time, not until they realized what might have been inside. Detective Sarney mentioned something that hit hard, that law enforcement might already have surveillance of the person who parked the Tesla in that final spot. But he also said that didn't necessarily mean the driver was the one who killed her. Maybe it was a cover-up. Maybe someone was helping him. Maybe someone entirely was involved. The questions grew heavier. And then came the bombshell revelation, when an investigator spoke about the house containing sadistic evidence. Fans speculated wildly about what that could mean. Some said they were items linked to violent acts. Others said it was a collection of disturbing material that suggested premeditation. Fisher couldn't say much, but his expression in that interview said everything. It wasn't just grief, it was horror. This was when the public started turning against D4vd completely. He hadn't been arrested, hadn't even been officially named a suspect, yet the internet had already made its verdict. He was the villain of the story, and every silence, every lyric, every deleted second was seen as proof. But not everyone believed it. Some fans defended him, saying the media was twisting a tragedy into a spectacle. They said he was being harassed, that grief doesn't always look innocent. One fan wrote, "He lost someone he loved. You can't expect him to act normal." But then others replied, "He lost her in his car. How do you explain that?" Even experts couldn't agree. Some forensic analysts online said the timeline didn't add up, that the body was too decomposed for the reported dates. Others suggested the Tesla might have been moved more than once, maybe by multiple people. But every theory circled back to one haunting question. Why was Celeste's body in his car? Days turned to weeks, and the case grew colder, but the internet refused to let it die. Investigators kept digging quietly. Sources hinted they were analyzing every digital trace, deleted messages, cloud backups, even private Discord logs. One anonymous insider claimed that the two had exchanged hundreds of voice messages in the weeks before her death, but none had been recovered. He deleted them, all of them. Meanwhile, D4vd remained silent. He didn't post, didn't respond, didn't speak. His absence only made the noise louder. Some claimed he had fled Los Angeles. Others said he was in therapy or even under surveillance. Then one night, a blurry image appeared online, allegedly showing him walking out of a recording studio, head down, hoodie up, eyes hidden. And still, the music played on. Every lyric now felt like a confession. Every performance felt haunted. His voice cracked in songs where it never had before. It wasn't just music anymore, it was pain wrapped in melody, guilt turned into sound, and fans couldn't stop listening. The investigator later said something that echoed through every corner of the internet. Sometimes the truth is buried under what people are too afraid to admit. That line hit everyone differently. So here we are, months later, still asking the same questions. Who moved the Tesla? What was found in that house, and what really happened between D4vd and Celeste? Was it love, obsession, or something too dark for words? Until the truth comes out, all we have are fragments: a video, a car, a tattoo, a deleted stream, and two lives that collided in tragedy. If you're still watching, stay till the end, because this story isn't just about what happened, it's about what could still come to light. Secrets don't stay buried forever. And in this case, every whisper, every lyric, every deleted second could be the key to unlocking the truth. So keep your eyes open, because in stories like this, the ending is never really the end.